All
Are we
right.
live?
Hello, friends and followers. I know we promised a super cool, nifty intro last week. We're still working on it. It's gonna be
Well,
it'll
I
be
don't
a
think
thing.
we haven't promised it yet, like haven't confirmed. But yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
You'll notice Jordan's not here tonight. He will be soon. I think he's gonna pop on just a little bit here. So we're just gonna run through a little intro. Tonight we're going over hard seltzers, which have really sort of been a thing in recent years since I think like 2016, but really just sort of started to blow up last year. So we're going to kind of go over a little bit of how to make them on like a homebrew scale, what advantages that we have like as homebrewers in making seltzers that you probably won't be able to do or find in the store. Recipes, all sorts of good stuff. I am going to be the sort of hypothetical I don't know, talking mouth in this episode. I've never actually made a hard seltzer. Jason and Jordan have. So I have all this hypothetical knowledge that has never been put to the test. So well, listen to how you guys, make ciders, and I can chime in with some bullshit, I guess.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's what you do best. Just
Yeah.
chime in with bullshit. I'm good with that.
What's everybody out there drinking tonight? What are you drinking tonight?
So I have a large selection of seltzers that I went and picked up, and I'm going to turn down my blur here a little bit. So I got some Michigan, I got some Shorts, Soft Parade Seltzer, and some Atwater seltzer, spike seltzer. I've got Breakwater, which is
I have
also
one of
from
those too.
Michigan. Clear Coast, which is it's a parent company. I don't know if it's Michigan because they're kind of all over the place. Odd Sides for sure. Michigan Fuzzy Navel, and then I got a couple of these sibling rivalries, which I think these guys are Ohio. I could be wrong. Do
I
you know?
don't know.
Let me
We
see
can
what the
Google it
can
later.
says. But yeah, actually it says right here, Ohio craft beer. So a couple sibling rivalry. I'll bring this in later. But yeah, I just went to Mega Bev and just
Your Mega
browsed on
Bev
the
is better
shelf.
than my Mega Bev. I need to go out to that one more often. I ended up picking some of the same stuff. Like I got that Breakwater too, the black cherry. I think they had like a peach and some other flavors.
I actually got one more. Hang on, I just remembered. This
When I
one
was
scares
there,
the shit out of me. I got a breakfast seltzer with coffee.
we
Let's
saw
do
that
it.
too. Yeah, you want to start with that one?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, we can do that. Shayna might want some. I might have to call her in at some point. But yeah, I got that. I went, with the the OG, not the OG, but the big dogs. I got a White Claw. I wanted
I
to
mean,
get I wanted to get some that was sort of fortified too, so I could sort of have like a little bit of a, not fortified, but um, like the vodka mixed,
the vodka mix.
stuff
Yeah,
too,
yeah,
instead of
yeah.
like a brewed. So I think I got Coors.
So I
Oh,
know
which I
I
just found
have
out today. Coors used
Truly's.
to make Zima, right?
Yeah, I was just gonna go there.
No.
Uh, but no, I've got Truly and White Claw in the basement or downstairs, so I'm sure this Rise and Shine Breakfast Anytime seltzer though was brewed in Detroit.
Okay.
Yeah, brewed and packaged in Detroit by Great America Beverage. Huge coffee nose, crazy coffee, but crystal clear.
Oh man, I gotta finish my IPA so I can drink this, proper out of a glass. Oh man, that does smell like coffee.
Big coffee nose,
Yeah.
like creamy. It's actually for what it looks like. It's very unsettling.
We got Drew in the chat drinking Bud Light lemon
Oh
lemon
man,
lime soft.
I just saw a picture of Drew with a giant Coors seltzer too. Um, but wasn't that a giant Coors seltzer?
Oh yeah, the Trubato. No, that's the Jacob was talking about. This is the crazy super heavily fruited
Oh, I was about to.
hard seltzer. I think it's like even a whole separate brand from them or something. I'm not sure, but
Yeah, but I was gonna pop in here real quick. Let me do this. So hard seltzers, we know it was actually started by Spike Seltzer in 2013, but in reality, and this is true, Zima was seltzer. It was exactly the seltzer that we know and love today, and it was in 1993. So yeah, Coors were really the first ones ahead of their time, breaking out the Zima seltzers when we were all probably either still in diapers or whatever,
They brought it back
or high
recently.
school.
I don't know if it's still for sale, but it was either last year or the year before.
Yeah, I know it was
Um,
early. It was back for a couple of years. Oddly enough, you can still get it in Japan, where I think you can get everything. Um, yeah. So, man, this coffee one is crazy, but it's actually really good. If you like coffee, go check this out. Breakfast seltzer.
the one thing it is crystal clear, but and this is one thing we'll probably talk about too at some point in the episode. You probably can't see it on stream, but it's a little yellow.
What's funny is in my eyes, it looks clear, but on camera it does look like it's got a yellow tint to it. It's
It might
very
just be,
faint.
well, and maybe that's my lighting too. I have that soft white light going on in the office here, so
Right on. So yeah, seltzers, super, big fad of the year. I mean, in 2019, the numbers I was reading is it was increasing. The market share on seltzers was increasing by 200% every month throughout 2019. It just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then it wasn't hard to go to the store and find 8 different craft seltzers. Just here at a local Mega Bev. I mean, shit is all over the place now.
yeah.
I do
Oh
have
man,
to call out too. I've got my new Five Shores. My son just brought me back this. His friend is a brewer at Five Shores up in Benzie County, I believe in Beulah.
I was just gonna ask what that is. Okay.
Yeah, it's a cool glass. So you've never brewed a seltzer, but I'm sure you know all about them.
I don't know. You tell me, man. We'll figure it out here. So I don't know. What is a seltzer? Just in its most basic form, right? It's basically alcohol, water, and CO2.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
with little flavoring.
It
Um,
was started, like I said, in 2013. The resurgence came back because everybody was drinking LaCroix and club sodas. Flavor cup sodas were a big thing. So
that's probably why I haven't like ever made one. It's because I never got super hard into like carbonated water or like LaCroix or anything like that. Like I I've always just kind of dug my water straight out of the faucet without bubbles. But it's water, I don't know, water with bubbles to me is like it's more drying. Like I just don't
I
feel like
agree.
I had any water to begin with. Not that I don't like enjoy it. Like I like carbonation. I like bubbly things. I like I don't know, the like acidic feeling.
I really expected you to say you prefer your water with barley and hops, but uh, but yeah, it is. There's a big craze on that in the early 2010s, and Spike Seltzer, a guy named Nick, put it together, basically just threw sugar and water and carbonated it, and made the craze, and they're still around. I think they've changed their name. I think they're called something like Bon Viv or something like that, but still going strong. But yeah, basically, in a nutshell, seltzer is water, sugar, yeast, and flavoring.
On the commercial level, at least, usually.
Yeah, on the commercial level.
So seltzer, yeah, for the most part on the commercial level is actually still considered a beer. It's taxed like a beer. Um, beer, I think, according to like some of the bylaws of like the like TTB or something, um, it doesn't require. I was looking this up earlier because I was wondering how like this taxation worked. Um, so uh, beer is not required to be fermented from malted barley. It can be brewed or produced from malt or any substitute, therefore. And it sounds like glucose and I believe like sucrose too are considered malt alternatives, um, which actually falls under that guideline. And then the IRC does not require the use of hops in the production of beer. It's just not a rule. You don't have to have hops in your
Right.
beer in the
This
U.S.
isn't Germany.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and then the definition of beer, um, around here in the U.S. at least, is that the product must contain at least 0.5% or more of alcohol,
Right
which
on.
pretty much all these do. So yeah, instead of being considered like a malt beverage, which has, I think it might have maybe even stricter guidelines, which is why a lot of these are produced and taxed as beers. Is they're just kind of fermented out
Yep.
like a beer is.
Actually, was
Um,
curious to see if some of them, because they do use different sugars. All of them are using different sugars, whatever they have on hand. And I was curious to see if anybody had put malt beverage. Drew, look at that Bud Light can and see if it's labeled as a malt beverage.
Yeah, this one says alcohol from sugar, so it doesn't necessarily say what kind of sugar. For the most part,
Yep.
I would assume glucose, so corn sugar or dextrose. Um, but some of the recipes I've been reading online do say use cane sugar, which is sucrose, um, which is interesting. Like, I don't know if it really matters in the way that these are being produced, but yeast generally prefers glucose over sucrose, right? Because sucrose is a glucose and a
Hmm.
fructose together. So there's one extra step that the yeast has to go through to like break that down before it'll want to eat it. Um, and so I wonder if that, I doubt there's been any experiments ran like as to like if it like impacts like the flavor or anything like that. But I don't
I
know. I'm always all about making that yeast happy. So if it has to go through less
Well,
effort to eat
that's
it.
the big thing. So seltzer, if you look at the recipes that you'll find online, it's going to be made with uh, almost any sugar will do. It's sucrose, dextrose, brewer's crystal, candy syrup. You can even do it with rice syrup and
Hmm.
agave syrup. Uh, and different breweries do that. That's why I'm curious. I would almost guess that you're going to see like a rice dextrose blend is probably going to be in the Bud Light or the macros. But that said, those sugars don't have anything to make the yeast happy. They don't have any of those enzymes and the other amino acids and things that you'll find in barley and malt. And so putting the yeast in there and just giving it food isn't really going to do it justice. It's not going to get super happy. So there is the side of it where you should come into playing with the nutrients more, um, making sure that you have, the right kind of ingredients there to make the yeast kick off and go. Because I did do it when I did mine, the first iteration, I didn't add any nutrients, and it just kind of it stalled and sat there, and I had to like kick it and um, browse it and repitch, and that was
Yeah.
just a mistake. So um,
Well,
yeah,
because what is this stuff if not? I mean, basically, it's just like a glucose wine, I
yeah,
guess, right? I mean, it's just as much of a drink like that as like a mead or a wine would, and with both of those, like you mentioned, you really want to have you want to hit like a certain like yan
yep.
target, right? Yeast assimilable nitrogen. Um, and so uh, in that, I was doing a lot of like reading on this article and that article, and try to get different like points of view as to like how much nutrient is good or needed or healthy or whatever. And I think like for right around, I believe, so I took a lot of averages, and I think it was a starting gravity of red around like 1035 to 1038 was um like pretty average or like agreed upon, assuming that the must or whatever was going to ferment down bone dry, and then around 100 parts per million yen, and in pretty much however way you want to do it. Um, so in like making wine or like mead on the homebrew scale, at least, I'm not sure what kind of stuff is available to like professional, winemakers or mead makers, but we usually use like three different um, like nutrient additions on the regular. There's Firm K, Firm
Hmm.
O, and DAP.
Yep.
So DAP is diammonium phosphate. It's basically just like dead yeast cells. It's It's inorganic nitrogen, and that's pretty much it. Firm K is kind of that same stuff. It's inorganic nitrogen, but it also has some organic nitrogen as well, and then like some micronutrients. Um, and then Firm O, I think, is mostly organic nitrogen and micronutrients as well, like those amino acids, and things like you talked about earlier. So I think like the consensus that I read is that you can pretty much use any of those and you'll be okay. But if you want to stick to just one, because I mean, some of that stuff can kind of be expensive depending on how you buy it. Firm K is generally the most well-rounded for seltzers, at least. With just having nothing but water there, with meads, the honey at least has a little bit of something. Usually mixed in, grapes being like a crop product, usually have more random like nutrients and stuff like that. So Firm K is the most well-rounded to use. And there's calculators online. You think you can use like it's batchbuilder.com. There's like a mead yan calculator there that you can use, and I don't see any reason why it would be any different to use that for hard seltzer or something like that than it would be for like mead. And I can't imagine that 100 parts per million of Firm K is much at all. You can probably buy a small package of Firm K and have that last you at least like 5 seltzers or something.
I just had to check and see if Beersmith had added a seltzer yet, and they have not. But yeah, water, sugar, yeast, and then when you get, so you don't have anything there to work with. You've got to give the yeast the building blocks they need to kick it into gear. But one of the things, as brewers that we play with in our flavor profiles, yeast plays a large part into that. Different yeast offer different characteristics and esters and phenols and things like that. And then with the seltzer, being that you just want water with alcohol in it, you really want to go with those like neutral, plain yeast, say Phalo 5 or Nikki D talked about. Let me pull it up here. Cadillac Straits use turbo yeast, which is a big.
Oh, that's cool.
Super recommended online if you start Googling around about seltzers. They talk about turbo yeast a lot.
It's like a distiller's yeast.
Yeah, and it'll tear through. That's actually I kicked mine back into gear with champagne yeast, which is similar. It's just that kind of high gravity tolerance. So you may not be going high, although that is one method to do it, is to brew a higher gravity seltzer and then water it back down to or deproof it, I guess, down. But it's an option. Your mom says hi. Hi, Connie. Thanks for watching.
Hi, Mom.
Well, I just lost it. Where was I?
You're talking about deproofing and yeast.
Yeast. So just use a neutral yeast. I use champagne yeast. You want a yeast that can, tear through it quickly. You don't want any off flavors. You don't want any, but you also don't want any of those flavors that are imparted by yeast. You don't want to use a saison yeast. You don't. I don't say you don't want to. You may want to do something.
It depends on the end goal, right? Yeah.
Right. I don't know. A saison seltzer might be fucking cool.
Yeah, it could be.
But generally, you just want water, right? You want water and alcohol, so you want this clean, a Calio one, say Phalo 5. Yeah.
Turbo. One a popular strain that I was seeing too was EC 1118, which is a wine yeast. I think it's a wine yeast.
Vintage yeasts are good. I read a lot about this Pathfinder line of yeast. I'd never seen it. They don't sell it here in Kalamazoo, but lots of people were talking about Pathfinder having a TY48, which is super pure, clean, absolutely flavorless yeast, and it's really good in seltzers. And I think it's being used more on the larger scale. It might be what some of the brewers are using. It's a BSG product. So, we just don't. I don't typically see yeast from BSG.
Maybe it's on like more beer or something.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting. And then
Yeah.
one thing. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna. I laughed because one of the notes that I made was seltzer is water, sugar, yeast, and flavor. And this, I'm not gonna get that.
No.
I have to turn my thing off. The breakwater, which is actually brewed and canned by Ordoc up in Marquette. But here now, let's see if I can get it. Their recipe right there: water,
That's really
sugar,
funny.
water, sugar, yeast, and natural flavor.
And Drew was saying that the Bud Light, I think that he was drinking listed cane sugar.
Cane sugar. Yeah,
And Mickey listed cane sugar as well.
I've seen Shorts is using beet sugar. I think Atwater was using cane sugar. I think Perrin was using dextrose.
Okay. So we're
All
kind of
over the
all over.
place.
Yeah.
When I did mine, hopefully Jordan will jump on soon. I think he did something different. I did 8 pounds of dextrose and 4 gallons of water.
Jordan deproofed, like you mentioned earlier, if I remember right.
Yeah, I think he did. I actually think he used a different sugar too, and I think he did brew higher ABV base and then watered it down. Where I just did the full carboy. I started with, like I said, Safe Ale. I think I used Safe Ale 05, something
05.
plain. And then I had to come back in because I didn't do nutrients. I had to come back in with champagne yeast and kick it in the butt, and it worked.
Did it take it down dry, like down to 1?
Yeah, it took it down very, very low, and just above one, maybe 002. I'll have to look at my notes, but the downside to it, and I think I got it off of the champagne yeast, is it left that kind of winey aftertaste. And I've noticed it on some seltzers that I've drank that have that. Definitely not on like a White Claw or a Truly. Those are so clean, mass-produced, filtered. That's the other thing we'll get to, I'm sure, later is filtering. But
yeah, I was just going to bring that up when you mentioned like the winey taste, but we can get back to that later. What do you did you back sweeten yours at all? So I mean, we talked about the yeast basically bringing this down to bone dry, down to 1 SG, a little bit lower even because ethanol is less dense. Is it less dense or more dense than water? Less dense, right?
Less dense.
But yeah, like I'm drinking this Truly right now, and have you ever had those like I'm gonna say Dasani just because I used to use those a lot, but those like flavor squeezins that you just like squeeze into a water, and it's not like they're sweetened at all or anything like that. It's just like flavor, and that's kind of what this Truly tastes like. But I know there's places that back sweeten seltzers too, and it kind of it depends on, I guess, what the goal of the the brewery is. Like, do you want super low carb seltzer, or do you want it like a little more palatable? Us as Americans, we like our sweet things. It's just our palate.
I'm curious too to try some of these. I tried one of the Odd Side line last night, and they specifically advertised, 0 carb, 0 sugar.
Oh, okay.
But it still tasted very sweet, and I didn't read it to see if they had, sweetened it with, like a stevia or
erythritol.
Yeah, some other chemical agent. But it did taste sweet. When I did mine, I just put lime juice, like fresh squeezed lime juice, and a small 4-ounce bottle of the BSG watermelon flavoring. So BSG does just cheap ass. I shouldn't say that, but they do like a watered down flavoring, right? You can get super concentrated. Like Brian and I have been playing with these beers lately, where we're using like drops of flavor in a keg. So you can get super concentrated flavors. You can get much better. BSGs are kind of, they're watered down. They're 4-ounce bottle. I think it's a 4-ounce bottle is meant to be for like a 5-ounce or a 5-gallon batch of beer. But I threw a 4-ounce bottle of BSG watermelon in there and like 6 or 8 juice limes, and
That sounds delicious. I tried that. I don't remember it because we were all
It was Beer Fest or Beer
yeah.
Camp. Yeah.
So I don't remember anything I tasted, but
I remember liking Jordan's better because I
Hmm.
thought mine tasted winey. Jordan's was peach. That's about all I can remember. I remember it was peach, and I liked it better. Uh, whatever. I want to break into this breakwater. I was
I know I
just
just opened that truly. I've been laughing like I'm trying to mute myself. Shayna was telling me even before the episode started, she's like, "You're gonna burp a lot, like you're just gonna fucking belch," like, and
bring it.
I'm trying to catch myself.
This one's unique. This one's colored. So
So
let's talk
yeah,
filtering then.
yeah. Well,
Go for it.
and that so I like that you have one that's colored. I think that's super cool because like
Yep.
um that's the
Breakwater.
breakwater one. Okay, I'll open that one next. Um,
It
Sweet.
is
Yeah,
purple.
so they're probably using some sort of like flavor concentrate that's adding that color to it. And again, I guess it just boils down to whatever the goal of the brewer is. I mean, this truly is like legit crystal clear white. Like you can't fuck with it at all. Like there's it's just really clear. Way more clear than the coffee one that had that yellow tint to it.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, I don't particularly care like what color my seltzer is. Um,
I don't either. I think of it almost like pop.
I think it adds to it even. Like if I'm gonna drink a berry seltzer, bring on the purple or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that's fine.
So
Um,
the bigger producers, Truly, White Claw, and even a lot of the craft breweries around here, filter. So you filter before you add flavor. Filtering will take out what's left of the yeast. Will help take out some of those yeast. Um, what are they, Brian? Phenols,
like esters and
esters.
phenols and
Yeah,
yeah,
the yeast esters. So filtering, carbon filtering, membrane filtering will take a lot of that stuff out, and then they flavor. Right? You can't flavor before you filter. You'll filter your flavor out.
right.
Um, as a home brewer, you can do it. You can get activated charcoal, from actually like from the pet store. You can get small aquarium filters that you can run your beer through. You can get a Brita water filter and do something like that. Even some of those survivalist ones where it's like drawing it through or hand pumping it through a filter. You can do it. It's a waste.
They make on a homebrew scale, they're about 150 bucks. I think they're called like Buon Vita or something like that filters. It's a motorized filter that takes three different sizes of pads. There's like the one that you mentioned, which is like the coarse filter, I think
Mhm.
first that tends to get out like bigger solids and stuff like that. Like you don't want to filter something that has like a bunch of like fruit gunk in it. Like you're just
Right.
gonna clog your shit up and like it's gonna explode and spray everywhere probably. But it'll take like small particulate out. And then I think you can do like a polishing filter,
Yep.
which just I think that goes down to like 10 micron or something like that. And then you go down to like a sterilizing filter, if you wanted to even, which is like 0.5 microns or something like that. And at that point, you'll actually start removing the yeast from the seltzer. So if you wanted to back sweeten, you can back sweeten without stabilizing because your
Oh,
yeast is
interesting.
is, is
Right.
like removed. Um, I I mean, you can't probably guarantee that it's all through there, but I mean, it probably
Enough.
will be at
Right.
that size. Yeah, especially if you're kegging and stuff. Like, there's just not going to be enough left to accomplish much of anything.
From a homebrew standpoint, from a 5 gallon, 10 gallon batch size,
Yeah,
who gives a shit?
yeah.
Honestly,
Maybe that's your thing, though. I
we
mean,
we
I
were
know, yeah.
the batches that we were serving. We took that to Homebrew Fest, and you're
They
making
looked as clear as this.
right. You're serving 3 ounce pours, so you've got very little liquid in there. You don't have enough density to even notice the color. Yeah, when I came home and poured a pint glass of it, you could see a yellow tinge. But who cares? And by the way, I want to call this out. Jason Glatz, my good buddy, if you think that it tasted or reminded you of zebra or green zebra, I appreciate you, man. I thought it was shit,
Are
but
you a green zebra fan?
green zebra's solid. It's
Yeah,
fine.
I like it. Yeah.
You know, for him to say that, I take that as a compliment, man. That's
Does he mean it tasted sour too?
it could have, and I mean I put fresh lime juice in there. I was going for that tart lime. But anyway, I do know when Arclight brewed theirs. I know Ed filtered his.
Mm.
I laughed at it. I was like, why? Again, I'm with you. Like, add color. Like,
Yeah.
for a home brewer, I mean, if you're into it and you know and you like the science aspect of it, then by all means,
Did you do that?
work on a filter. Did I? What?
Oh, is
Yeah.
Jordan on? Science time with Professor Brian popped back up for a second.
Oh, really? Amazing. So anyway, let's drink some more seltzer.
Yeah, dude. So I mean, if you're gonna treat it like wine and stuff too, and like mead, like there's other stuff that you can do that homebrewers do with all of that other stuff in order to clear it up a little bit faster. Like even without filtering, you can probably turn around a super clear seltzer in a couple weeks.
Crash your shit.
Crash your shit, but you can use bentonite in
Yes.
it.
Yep.
That's a big wine thing, and you can just pitch bentonite in when you mix everything up. You don't even need to like rehydrate or anything like that. Just throw that shit into primary. That'll help start the clarifying process, like after everything's like
And
all
so
fermented out.
you mentioned it, and back when I did mine, I really was ignorant on it, but I still use my fining agents just in case there was something the yeast bound to. So I did. I when I boiled my water, I threw Oral Flock in just for shits and giggles. I
Why
was like,
not?
it
Yeah,
couldn't hurt.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I know there was no proteins for it to bind to, but I thought, fuck it.
Well, did you use RO water? Or did you use your well water?
I always use my well water.
Yeah. So your well water is like a really
Amazing.
nice, interesting taste to it too. So um, a lot of people say use RO water for your seltzers, and I feel like that's because most of us brew with city water, which
Right.
is chlorinated and fixed or whatever. If you brew with well water like Drew and you and probably some others, like if that water tastes like good, like that'll give your seltzer probably a little extra, I don't know,
The water is
unique
why my
taste,
water
right?
is
Yeah,
why I brew the beer as good as I brew.
yeah.
But that said, seltzer waters, mineral waters, or I'm sorry, it's just one step too far. Seltzer waters or club sodas or whatever are typically made with mineral waters. So if you are going to build a water profile, and they actually do, like at Northern Brewer sells just mineral water packs for seltzer.
Really?
Yeah, that
Okay,
have
cool.
so much magnesium. What is it? Baking soda. There's the other things in there to kind of just put that in a 5-gallon batch and make a mineral water if you're going to use RO.
That's something I didn't even think of. Is yeah, yeah.
No, yeah. Traditionally, those seltzers, club sodas, they have a harder edge, and even the higher end ones, like you get into Perrier, fuck you,
Perrier.
Perrier, thank you, or some of the better, club sodas are going to be. Now I'm burping. Are going
Have
to
you
be that mineral base.
This is only slightly off topic, but it's still on the topic of water. Have you watched that new show with Zac Efron on Netflix? It's like, gosh, what is it? Uh, about like planet Earth, like sustainability and stuff like that.
No, no.
So there was one episode where they did like a down to earth. They did a lot of talking on water, right? And so there is actually one guy in someplace in what I think it was California, maybe because of course California. But he's like the one and only water sommelier, like in the world.
Oh, I've seen. So he actually has started a water sommelier school now, and there's more of
Really?
them. Yeah,
Okay.
I actually watched the whole documentary on that guy.
I mean, I thought it was super interesting because I'd never heard of that before. But like some of the water that they were drinking, like I have a TDS meter that I use for my water at home because I make my own RO water. and I need to know roughly when I should change my filters out and shit.
Hmm.
But so like my water comes out maybe at like 25 parts per million, like whatever, you know. Um, some of the shit that they were drinking was like upwards of 4,000, like in terms of like all the minerals and stuff in it. But like it's at that point in time, you're not even drinking water, like you're drinking like some water-based concoction that's like, but it's
Right.
so cool. Like, and if you were to make a seltzer out of something like that, like it would be so unique too, right? Like, so I just
I
coming
know.
back to that, yeah.
No, I
Like if
agree. I
you have
think
cool fucking water, like
it,
do
it,
cool shit with it.
if you could, I don't know, if you could get uh 5 gallons or eight, well, you'd need 8 to 9 gallons. Well, if you're brewing a beer, but anyway, if you get your hands on, 5 gallons of like Fiji water or Perrier or whatever, it would be interesting to brew and see what effect that had on there. And I know, you can probably find the profile out there somewhere and then
There
just do
are,
it
yeah,
yourself.
yeah.
And probably be a lot cheaper. But yeah, just find yourself someplace out in the country with a kick-ass well and go to town. Once I move, I told you, when I move, my brewing is going to shit.
You need to just buy a like a empty septic tank or something, and just like pump that shit full, like bring it with you.
Yeah. All right, I gotta go somewhere else next. Uh, Short soft parade. So I will say, when I was at Megabev and Amy and I were buying this stuff, the guy at the counter was literally gushing over Odd Side Seltzer.
Really? Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
and I had their pink lemonade last night, and I've got fuzzy navel. What did you pick up an Odd Side?
I didn't. I was at the Oakland Megabev, and they
Okay.
just didn't have any of that selection.
Yeah,
So
West Main, West Main.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So last night I was drinking with John Sutton, who used to work with Imperial Beverage, and he knows the distributor, the guy, the rep for Oddside. And he was literally texting him to try to get him to be our special guest on the show tonight to talk about seltzers, because the guy kind of helped drive Oddside their seltzers. Now I'm gonna go. So peach orange, a fuzzy navel, Oddside, hard seltzer. And John, if you're watching and you get that guy on the phone, let me know.
I mean, it's not like, and we've done two cider episodes now, sort of like almost in a row. So
Well,
whatever,
no,
we'll
I
do more
told
the answer.
another guy that watches their show and was on a few episodes back, Paul Phipps from
Hmm.
Livingston Social Brew Club.
Hmm.
He messaged me earlier. There's a guy that just put out a hard seltzer book. Literally, I think it hit Amazon today.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen that
Uh,
advertised.
Colby was his name. I've got the message anyway. Anyway, he's like, yeah, messaging me. I'm sure he'll be on the show. And I think we wait. Colby, Chris Colby.
I know we're
Um,
talking about all this bullshit, and he's come on the show and like Andrew
right.
Blake, and
So
just be like, this is how it is.
that's
Yeah.
why I said, this is our new thing. So we bumblefuck through a cider episode. A few weeks later, we get Andrew Blake on to set the record straight, which was by far like one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah,
So
which yeah, if you guys watching did not watch last week's episode,
Andrew
like,
was awesome.
oh my god, like it was so fun. I like hard seltzer and cider and maybe even like mead making. So like I know enough to, make a product, but these people are just like on another level. Like, and it's
The
so
passion.
cool to listen to them talk. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think now we have this, which I. So first off, we're doing much better with seltzers than we did with Scotch ales. That was the worst episode ever.
I
So
like your little mini history at the beginning though. That was good. I did not
so
really research that.
kudos to you and I for actually caring about seltzers more than we do about Scotch ale. Uh, By the way, that Scotch ale episode was a fucking cluster, and it was last minute. Just we needed to do something.
We're
So
super
anyway,
organized behind the scenes, in
anyway,
case anybody was wondering.
so we'll jump forward in a couple of weeks. We'll get Chris Colby, or somebody else that really knows what they're talking about on, and this will be our thing. We'll have um, an episode about a style that we think we're intelligent on, and then we'll find an expert to come in a few weeks later and tell us how it really is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Anybody know any Scotch beer experts?
now that ship sailed. That's dead. That one's dead.
Any we've done IPAs and stouts and porters and shit too, right? So, but
yeah, but you and I have enough hardware on
yeah,
most to
we're the
actually.
experts there. It's fine.
So, Brandon, tell me, pop that up there. What's that from Brandon?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me how you like the odd side seltzer. Oh, lime watermelon. So that's the flavor of seltzer that I tried to brew for Homebrew Fest last year. So, all right, Brandon. So I had pink lemonade last night, and it tasted like raspberry lemonade. Like it did what it was supposed to do. So today this is fuzzy navel, so orange peach.
Nice. That makes me want to touch on something that I thought about earlier too. And it goes back to yeast health a little bit. And it's something that I don't think we mentioned is pH.
Oh, yeah.
So one thing that I caught that I don't see on all of the hard seltzer recipes is that a lot of people that are like making the good seltzers and like are, at least like pseudo passionate about it, they pre-acidify their water um, down to somewhere between like 4.8 and 5.2 pH. Because it's kind of like where the yeast are sort of like happy at. Like, and yeast are really good at like buffering anyway. Like they'll get their pH down to like where they're happy. Um, but again, it's all about like that yeast health, right? Like if you can make them happy to start with, and they don't have to work so hard to do what they need to do, and they can focus on making things delicious.
So the BSG hard seltzer FAQ recipe, FAQ, or
Fuck.
FAQ, I don't know, I just said that.
I
Fuck! Their hard seltzer FAQ recommends adjusting with acid for flavor and for reducing the pH to help with microbial stability.
Yep.
But it doesn't say what pH range.
4.8 to 5.2. Mark it down.
I mean, if 5.2 is the pH of whatever beer should be. So yeah, I guess if you can get under 5.2, then you're in the right. But yeah, it doesn't say. It does. It does. Not. It's funny you mention it. It does mention adding acid.
As to what kind of acid, I actually saw citric listed more than anything else, like more than
Because
lactic.
citric's such a neutral flavor, right? Lactic,
Yeah.
it's funny was having the conversation with Sut last night about, I forget what beer he was brewing, but he was like, yeah, and I know he just brewed a seltzer. He used a seltzer kit, but he was talking about adding acid pre-acidification to before pitching for kettle souring to help avoid
Yeah.
the
Yep.
bad shit, right?
Yeah.
And but he kept saying, he said citric acid a couple of times. And I'm like, no, you mean lactic acid, right? But in this case, so he would use citric acid
Yeah.
because you don't want kind of the funk from the lactic acid, right? You want that clean tartness. Citric acid is just almost lemon tart, right?
Yeah. It's the is that the stuff that they use on like warheads, or is that like
Yes.
malic acid? Is it citric?
Nope. It's citric and malic, I think. No, so I made sour candy, and I was like modeling after warheads, and it was all citric. But the problem with just using pure citric acid in candy is citric acid burns very low.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
sugar, hard crack sugar phase is 300 to 320.
Okay.
And citric acid burns at like 240. So you really gotta cool your candy down before you start implementing the citric. But yeah, citric acid is warheads.
Cool. And then Brandon said phosphoric, which I know a couple breweries use phosphoric too, because again, it's much more clean than a lactic acid is. Some people are just like sensitive to that lactic acid taste. It's generally just you have to use a lot more of it, like volume wise, in order to acidify.
So I just first off, the odd side fuzzy navel seltzer smells amazing.
And a fuzzy navel is what? It's peach something?
Peach and orange is what it's supposed
Okay.
to be. Smells amazing. All I get is peach though. I get like green peach, biting into a peach that should have sat and ripen more. But other than that, it's pretty fun good.
Brandon's coming at me. He says he used 85%, so it's
85%.
probably just the same as lactic at that point, probably.
Yeah, what do we typically get with lactic is 70%?
88, I think.
Oh, you're right, 88. 88.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Brandon, have you done a seltzer? We'll give him a second. There's a 30-second lag.
Yeah, something like that. I kind of want to like actually do one now. Like I'm drinking these, and like I know I started this episode being like, oh, it's not my jam, and now I'm sitting here like I don't feel full. Like I got a nice little buzz on. I feel well hydrated.
I tell you, I don't want to go through 8 cans of this shit.
I know your cider episode, man. It was you're doing pretty good there.
So I was going to call that out too. So Blake's, we talked about. I started the show last week with a light cider, which you did not have, right?
I did not. No.
And that was Blake's answer to seltzers. Was just a really light body, low calorie, 5%, 100 calories a can cider, and it was so damn tasty. And I really appreciate them for not kind of jumping on the cider or seltzer bandwagon. Man, I've only had 3.
Just doing what they do, but except with apple juice or whatever, right? Like.
But yeah, but it really was as close as you can get to seltzer and still be cider, and it was super tasty. Not saying it's a bandwagon. A lot of these. I'm not trying to knock any of these breweries. I'm friends with several brewery owners, and I understand. You got to make money, and I would expect anybody that's owns their own brewery and is trying to get by to jump on whatever you can. I give Ed all kinds of shit at ArcLight for doing slushies and coffee. Like he came to market with the hard coffee months before PBR hit the market in Michigan.
Yep.
And the same with seltzers. So I don't begrudge anybody from hitting seltzers, but for those like Blake's that are a cidery, sticking with the cidery, that's awesome. And then you have those like Bell's that are just hardcore breweries that I think Larry has said he will never do a seltzer.
Well, he makes enough money not having to do seltzers that it's like whatever. I think that's what's so great about being like a home brewer too, is like we don't have to, we're not at the whim of trends.
No, I jumped on it. Last year when we went to Homebrew Fest,
it's fun to jump on a trend. It's not life altering.
Right.
Your business doesn't depend on it.
My goal at Homebrew Fest last year, or the last year that we went, was to do like this hipster trend bar one day. We had the seltzers, we had the brewed IPAs, we had the glitter beers. Hell, we had a fucking meat beer too, but thankfully that is a trend that has not hit stride yet. Sorry, Ron.
You found some of that earlier this week, didn't you?
I dumped it out. I know he's gonna watch this. If he's not watching it already, you're an asshole.
I don't know if 1-year-old meat beer is something that like anybody needs to try. So I'm sure he's probably fine with it too.
Kielbasa, cocoa nibs, and Oreo cookies in a
KOC.
And it smelled like when I was dumping it out, I was like, huh, it actually smelled all right. No, I did not try it before I dumped it. Fuck that shit.
But you said it smelled okay.
It smelled okay as I'm dumping it out. Like
I would be, even if it smelled okay, like I think that's probably the right idea. I would be skeptical at like, I mean, it's like it can go rancid and shit, right? Like it can, yeah. That's why when we make juice someday,
which I will do. I've got the keg set aside for it.
It will be a fresh. I'm sure you do. It will be drink fresh. Do people know about odd juice? I've told people about odd juice before.
We've talked about it on the show.
This was my my passion idea, my passion project.
At one point, our passion project.
Oh, dude, I came up with it, and then I invited you into my life. listen. Listen, I was making all these New
I,
England IPAs, right?
I feel like I helped get
You did. You did. You brought
the
you brought in like
formulation.
the MSG,
Yes.
which I think is a great idea. Great idea. So the name of the beer, it's going to be a Meat New England IPA somehow, and it's going to be called Juice, as in like au jus, but juice, because it's a New England IPA, but it's also like meat. So it's like the perfect blend of two worlds that never needed to meet. No pun intended. And
Yeah.
we
So,
talked about all we can on Seltzers, man. It's all about fucking like
but so no, I want au juice, roast beef. That's where the MSG soy sauce, that umami, and then some just bright citrus, you know, New
it.
England, uh, Julia type.
Imagine like a lamb kebab that's absolutely smothered with lemon and lime juice. That's kind of what I'm imagining, or something like, yeah. Except in a beer,
And a beer.
and and and, and I don't know.
All
I
right.
want it to happen. So it will happen. So let's make this. Let's make this on stream.
Before next year's beer camp.
Yep, Beer
Yeah.
Camp 2021. It will be a special tapping at
Yeah.
Keepers of Craft Bar.
Yeah. Whoever did the bean and garlic bean soup fucking shit, we're coming for you. That's what it's gonna be.
But yeah, I don't know if I have anything left to say on like seltzers. Oh, you know what? I do have something left to say on seltzers. Uh, it's actually kind of a big thing because we're homebrewers. We don't have to brew seltzers, right? We and it's this is totally legitimate. Like, by all means, do this, and it's absolutely delicious. Take some vodka or something and
That's right.
just pour it into water by volume and make yourself a 5% like drink.
If you have a keg, if you have CO2 in kegs at home, uh, absolutely, like 4 gallons of fucking water and a big old bottle of Costco vodka and whatever flavor you want, and you've got your own goddamn seltzer.
You don't have to fuck with yeast. Yeah,
No,
yeah, absolutely. Um, and I've had a couple people that, and the taste is different. It is like it's crazy that it's different because it's all sort of just ethanol, but like the vodka, right, in itself has its own flavor. Um, and so it does add its own sort of, I don't know, vodka ethanol flavor. But like when it's diluted so much,
yeah,
like if you were to try it side by side with something that was fermented, I guarantee you would taste a difference, especially if you're not filtering, because like you mentioned earlier, the yeast are going to, I mean, you're going to have those like esters and esters and phenols and shit like that in suspension still, but like whether one's better than the other, I mean,
no.
whatever. One's definitely easier to make than the other,
But to go back to what you said, breweries cannot do that.
but
It is
breweries cannot do that.
it's
Yeah.
a spirit. They're not allowed to sell it unless they have a spirit license. Um, there are some areas, there are some tap rooms I know of in our area in Southwest Michigan that do it, that serve it, and actually sell it to go in crowlers. Um, but it is definitely a spirits-based drink. Get your vodka, get you some Loran's oils or some
Oh man, yeah.
whatever flavoring you want, and throw it in a keg and call it good. There's a Nick, you would probably know. I want to say it's like Ann Arbor or Lab or whatever. There's a brewery or a homebrew club that always every year they always put like Moscow mules on tap, and they're
Mm-hmm.
at Homebrew Fest, and they're fucking amazing. So that's another thing. If you're a homebrewer with a homebrew bar or with a kegerator, you don't always have to have beer in that keg. Um, you can do whatever the hell you want. And making up 5 gallons of Moscow Mule or 4 gallons or whatever your favorite cocktail is, or a Long Island base. You know, it may go a long ways to making your wife happy or your husband happy or whoever's not the beer drinker in the house.
Make me happy. I am a beer
Or
drinker. That's fine.
yeah, I'm a beer drinker, and I'm a beer drinker who just put a bar in his basement, and I've not. My beer consumption has gone way down.
I know one day we're gonna have to do like a live show from the new bar or something. And like,
Soon, soon. I think it's gin and tonic on tap. I mean,
absolutely.
with all the fucking limes. I actually think Amy's down there watching on the big screen. No, I'm gonna do once we get some furniture down there, I'm gonna start doing the shows from the basement.
That'll be cool, man. That'll look really nice.
So I only made it through 4.
You're one ahead of me. I'm just about to finish my
Oh no,
third.
3. I can't count. I'm drunk enough. I can't count. I've only made it through. Hold on.
We're on tap then. Or
do you want to take us to the bar? I mean, I feel like I should still drink.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who's gonna follow us. I don't care. Like I think we've said all there is to say on Seltzer. Let's recap because I think it's good to end on like a recipe. So take RO water or some delicious water if you have a well.
Come out to my house if you need to.
Come out to Jason's house. Add some sort of sugar, either sucrose or glucose. So dextrose, corn sugar, or cane sugar to like 1035, 1038, something like that. Get some yeast that's clean. USO5, EC 1118, turbo. Start that stuff in some Go Firm. I don't think we talked about that.
You did.
Did we? Good.
Yeah, it was brag. You went through it.
So use some Go Firm. Get that stuff prepped up a little bit. Dump it in. Target 100 parts per million yen. Do like 50 on 24 hours, 50 at 48 hours. Then let it go. Then pre-acidify, right? Pre-acidify the water down to like 4.8 to 5.2 before you pitch that yeast. Toss in some bentonite. Just follow the instructions on the packet. After it's all fermented out, I mean, that should only take probably like 5 days or something would be my guess. Maybe like 7 or something like that. Either add some like super clear or something, which is like a wine / mead like clarifying agent. It's like 2 different types of I can't remember exactly what super clear contains. One's a positively charged and one's a negatively charged like component. They're both like
hang on.
Yeah, I can't remember. They are non they're not vegan friendly if I remember right. Like at least one of them is a fish product like gelatin. So just keep that in mind.
Yep.
Filter if you have a filter. Otherwise cold crash and then keg that
cold
shit.
Crash your shit. And if that doesn't work, vodka and water, buddy.
Yeah.
All the way.
I think that you can even like do it straight up and not add flavorings and then just buy little like flavor squeezins and add that like on a per serving basis into your glass.
Hell yeah.
Like that way you're not even stuck with one flavor.
Did we share thoughts on firm temps? No, we did not, Jake. Good call, but I would say normal firm temps. It depends on the yeast that you're using and what's happy there. I did like a normal 70-degree with what I use. I don't know what Turbo's happy at.
I know so I focused on EC 1118 because I saw that so much, and anywhere from 68 to 75 is pretty standard. So which is pretty standard like ale temps, maybe just a touch high, but I don't know. Presidential Bruins in the house. That's what we do. I'm not sure exactly what that was in response to.
Moving to the shorts.
Fuck yeah.
Soft parade. And after this, I am going to the bar because Brandon's going to the bar. Jake, you should come to the bar.
This is this is super clear.
super clear, right?
Yeah. So you had
So
one, and then I think it's somewhere between 2 hours and 40 or 2 hours and 24 hours. You had the other. You give it 3-4 days, that shit clears up so fast. It's crazy. I use that in all my meads. It's like awesome. Hi, Kaylee. Thanks for joining us tonight.
So, speaking about shows and joining us, thank you for joining us. I don't have anything to like hard announce for next week's show. I will say in September we will have another homebrew club on for our homebrew episode. If you remember, we kind of planted our flag in the ground 5 or 6 episodes back. So we're going to try to do a brewery, a homebrew club, and a style a month. That was 3 shows. We were hoping to fit in a homebrew club meeting on the off, but those have been canceled for COVID. So we're fitting in 4 or 5 shows a month. I do have a couple of breweries coming up. Nobody I want to name yet, but I am actively talking to a couple of different breweries from all over the state.
Cool.
Now that I know somebody here, I'm sorry, in case you saw that, Ellie. I'll be reaching out. But we'll have some more breweries. We'll have another homebrew club on. We don't really have an idea for the next style. So for those 4 or 5 of you that actually pay attention to the style shows, if you have a style that you want us to talk about, let us know. And then
again, they're
and then Kaylee, if you guys just want to come on and talk again because you were such a great show, then fuck it. I'm going to the bar.
They brew the hard seltzer and then do the flavor shots.
That's right. I'm going to post this in chat. So if you guys want to hang out after the fact.
Did you verify that that's still a thing and open? I have not been on that in like months.
I'm going to fucking check it out right now.
The guy that made that's like, it's probably just like a redirect to like a Zoom fucking thing. So I can't imagine
open
like
Zoom meetings.
Money. Perfect.
He's paying $15 a month for it.
Yeah.
And computer audio. I'm in the bar right now, all by myself.
Beautiful. All right, I'll be in a sec, guys. Thank you so much for joining us in our house. It's our hard seltzer episode.
Come join us in the bar.
Please make some. Please share it with us. Let us know, and we'll catch you in a week. So,
take it easy, y'all.